person who liked to call me sweetie and baby and some things like that. And I don't think he intended to be insulting. I think he almost used them as terms of endearment. But it's an uncomfortable thing in a workplace setting, especially when you're a young academic and you're trying to establish yourself. And one day he called me sweetie, and I don't remember exactly what I said, except my response was something like, sure thing, good looking, or something like that, or baby, or something like that. And it clearly it hit him that this was not appropriate talk, okay? And he never did it again. And so I can't say that I was really traumatized by it or anything like that, but it was just a marked difference in the use of language between how a man would be addressed and a woman would be addressed.
Oh, hey there, sweetie. I don't want you to hurt yourself. Why don't you let me take that? Thanks. That's good. I'll put it up here.
In terms of inequality, in graduate school, I don't think there was really any specific inequality. One thing I did notice that in my cohort and in my larger, graduate setting, when we would have seminars, oftentimes we'd be sitting around a big table, and generally it was the male students who took a seat at the table. And the female students tended to kind of sit back. We often were in a larger room with, chairs along the wall. And as I noticed this trend over several years, I thought, this is ridiculous that, women who are pursuing the same degree as these men aren't taking that seat at the table.
I think it's absolutely outrageous. It is very difficult as a woman to imagine that a colleague of mine who has the same level of academic achievement or even just overall career achievement would make more money than me simply because of gender.
You've got a situation where men and women are doing, in essence, the same kind of work. They're putting in the same hours, they're coming up with the same outcomes, they're in essence, the same situations, and yet women still make less than men.
Here's what we can offer you.
Every time the wage gap is in the news, it seems like I find myself in meetings with a whole bunch of men, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's a good chance that they're making more money than me. And as a woman, we don't necessarily have a way of knowing that, but
Right.
Based on the statistics, it just makes me sick.
Actually, the wage gap for white women and white men is not nearly as great as the wage gap for black women, the wage gap for other minority women, the wage gap for disabled women.
And at one of my interviews, I actually was on campus and I was sitting down with the search committee, and we were talking about careers and the campus, and one of the male committee members said, well, young women tend to be on the mommy track as opposed to tenure track. And I was just so stunned, and this was 2013. It was the spring of 2013, and I just thought, how ridiculous is that is the attitude that women can't do both.
Hello?
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
How's the job search coming?
I'm not really finding the numbers that I really expected, so not too well.
Should you really be that picky?
Well, I'd rather have a decent income.
When I turned 31, I think it was either 30 or 31, my dad had a conversation with me, concerned, do we need to go through that thing where they freeze your ovaries because of your age and you seem to only care about your career?
I studied hard in college, and I think I deserve some good numbers.
I'm not saying you don't deserve it. I'm just saying that, you know, if you and Tanya don't start thinking about having kids, your sperms are going to dry up and fall out. And I will have no grandkids.
I know a lot of women work, but as far as being the only breadwinner, I have a lot of empathy for men that are typically in that role in terms of responsibility.
Not only do I personally feel this way, I academically know this from a lot of studying that I've done and what I teach, that kids can have a secure bond with their parent regardless if the parent stays home or not. Research shows us that over time, and a secure bond from a child development perspective is kind of the ideal thing to have between a mom and a child, and it doesn't matter if mom stays home or not. And that's a consistent finding since the 80s.
But I really do think now feminism is a broadly defined term, which really means that men and women should be liberated to do whatever they want to do. And so feminism is a term today, I think, that liberates both men and women.